Good morning, everybody. I call the January 28th, 2025 meeting of the DuPage County Board to order. A quorum of members is physically present. I will entertain a motion to permit those not physically present due to personal illness or disability, employment purposes, or all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, I invite everyone to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Member DeSart, will you please lead the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now invite Pastor Dan Wegerson from St. John's Lutheran Church in Lombard to lead us in the invocation.
A reading from the Apostle Paul, the New Testament book of Philippians. Be not anxious for anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanks, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all reason, will guard your heart and your mind in Christ. We pray. O God, you are the author of justice, and so you have given us in this country just government. You are the author of peace, and so we enjoy peace in our land, in our county and state. We're grateful, Lord, for those men and women gifted, chosen, elected to lead us, to keep us safe and to keep order and to provide for our flourishing in this area. We are grateful for the agenda today. We pray for each person here. Thank you for their contributions. Thank you for the honors that will be given. And for the agenda items, Lord, we ask your wisdom, your integrity, that this county and this board would be marked by those, and that we would do all for the good of our people and for your glory. We pray it in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay. Mr. Pierce, we're incredibly happy to have you with us today. Would you please take the roll?
Member Cahill. Here. Member Childress. Yes. Member Covert.
Here.
Member DeSart. Here. Member Eckhoff. Here. Member Evans.
Here.
Member Galassi. Here. Member Garcia. Here. Member Heather. Here. Member Honig.
Here.
Member Krajewski. Here. Member LaPlante. Here. Member Ozog. Here. Member Rutledge. Here. Member Schwarzy. Here. Member Tornatori. Here. Member Yu.
Here.
And Member Zay.
I'd like to invite Member DeSart and Member Honig up to the podium. You may invite whoever you'd like. Wonderful. Well, I just have to say before I start that I'm very used to being in photos with very large grown children men, but this is a lot more than I'm used to. So this is quite a privilege today. I only gave birth to about half of a playing field. Okay, we have everybody? Okay, all right. We are fortunate to have with us the NCAA Division III football champions. Welcome to our North Central College Cardinals, who took their third Stag Bowl with a winning score of 41-25 in their champion matchup with Mount Union. Additionally, for the third time, Coach Brad Spencer was named D3 National Coach of the Year. Member DeSart sponsored today's proclamation with her seatmates and our entire board. We are thrilled to celebrate the Cardinals' winning season. I'll read a bit more about your accomplishments and then ask you to share some thoughts. Whereas the student athletes, coaches, and alumni of North Central College football team have proven they possess a solid foundation of teamwork, commitment, and talent building toward a championship season. Whereas the Cardinals won the NCAA Division III National Championship with a 41-25 victory over perennial football powerhouse University of Mount Union. I think that's changed to North Central. In the 2024 Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl. And whereas the Cardinals finished the season 15-0, averaging more than 43 points per game in the NCAA Division III playoffs. And whereas North Central has finished the season undefeated for the second time in 3 years, and was the national championship 3 years in 5 trips and had 5 trips to the Stag Bowl. And whereas the college has a remarkable history of athletic success, having won 46 team national championships, including men's cross country, men's indoor track and field, men's outdoor track and field, men's swimming and diving, women's wrestling, women's triathlon, women's basketball, and football. Gosh, what's missing? Whereas we commend the student athletes, coaches, athletic administrators, and entire college community for their passion, spirit, camaraderie, and character through this incredible season, and for the team's positive representation of DuPage County and the state of Illinois. I'm thinking perhaps maybe you guys could, those of you who are moving on, could spend some summer with the Bears. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Deborah A. Conroy, Chair of the DuPage County Board, and members of the County Board do hereby recognize and commend the North Central College football team and coaching staff for its NCAA Division III National Championship and for being valued residents of DuPage County. Passed this 28th day of January 2025 in Wheaton, Illinois. Do I have a motion? So moved. Second? All in favor? Okay.
I just want to say, Cardinals, we are so darn proud of you. We are so proud of you. On behalf of District 5, Sabah Heder, Sadia Covert, and member Andrew Honig, who is a North Central alum, he went to school with y'all, and then also on behalf of our entire DuPage County Board, we congratulate you on your 3rd Stag Bowl victory. Earlier this month, you traveled to Houston and defeated the University of Mount Union, Ohio, winning the NCAA Division III championship for the 3rd time in 5 years, and we couldn't be more proud of you. Congratulations, Coach Brad Spencer. Congratulations, Cardinals, and congratulations to QB Luke Lehner. Luke received the Gagliardi Award, the trophy, for the 2nd year in a row. Was Luke here? He is not here. Well, tell him I said congratulations. The Gagliardi Award, if you're not familiar with it, is awarded to outstanding NCAA Division III players. This year, Luke scored 5 touchdowns during the Stag Bowl. Wow. So congratulations to all. Now I'd like to introduce our head coach.
Well, thank you. I thank the chair and the county board for having us here. We're extremely honored to represent North Central College, Naperville, the CCIW, and to be in your presence. We appreciate your support. I know you're all watching on ESPN. We're grateful. And while Red has many meetings today and this month, we certainly appreciate the Red in the room today. Thank you.
I thought you might all want an update on Luke. He's not here because he signed a professional contract in Texas. Yeah. Okay, now I'd like to invite Kelly Nichols, the Community Activacy Director of the American Heart Association, and Kim Bors, AHA volunteer, to the podium. February is American Heart Month, and we are happy to welcome Kelly Nichols and Kim Bors from the American Heart Association to receive our proclamation. In addition to recognizing American Heart Month, we ask our residents to participate in Wear Red on February 7th. Each year, the Heart Association reminds us that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women, and that more awareness, education, and research on women's heart disease is needed. I'll read our proclamation and ask Kim and Kelly to say a few words. Okay. Whereas cardiovascular disease is the world's leading cause of death and disability, and whereas more than 350,000 people experience cardiac arrest outside of a hospital each year, and only about 1 in 10 survive. Whereas most cardiac and stroke events can be prevented through education and lifestyle changes, including moving more, eating smart, and managing blood pressure. And whereas the American Heart Association has set a goal of doubling the survival from cardiac arrest by 2030 by turning bystanders into lifesavers, so that everyone, everywhere is prepared and empowered to become a vital link in the chain of survival and provide CPR in response to a cardiac emergency. Whereas, according to the Centers for Disease Control, more than 60 million women in the United States are living with some form of heart disease, and efforts such as the National Go Red for Women campaign are designed to bring awareness and to advocate for more cardiovascular research on the impact of heart disease in women. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Deborah A. Conroy, Chair of the DuPage County Board, and members of the DuPage County Board do hereby proclaim February as American Heart Month and encourage residents to wear red on February 7th to increase awareness about cardiovascular health, support women living with heart disease, and encourage more research on the unique impacts of cardiovascular disease on those who are affected by it. Enacted this 28th day of January 2025 in Wheaton, Illinois. Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Chair Conrad. I am Kim Bors. I serve as the chair of the Chicago Metro American Heart Association Board. I'm also a recently retired executive from my Fortune 100 DuPage County Corporation, Dover Corporation. So I'm very happy to be here, and I love to see all the red, both for our North Central State College players as well as in honor of Go Red. So on behalf of the American Heart Association, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the DuPage County Board for issuing the American Heart Association Month proclamation for February 2025. Your recognition of cardiovascular disease as a leading cause of death and disability worldwide, not just for women, but for everyone, and your commitment to raising awareness about life-saving measures like CPR and AED training is invaluable. Let me add that if you combine all forms of cancer together, heart disease is still the leading cause of death. This proclamation underscores the importance of empowering our communities, all of us, to act in the face of cardiac emergencies, whether it be on the football field, in the office places, or anywhere we have gatherings of people. By promoting CPR education and encouraging emergency response preparedness, you are helping turn bystanders, all of us, into lifesavers. This is a vital step toward achieving the AHA's goal of doubling the survival rate by 2030. Thank you again for joining us in this fight against heart disease and for inspiring all of DuPage County residents, all of us, young and old, to learn CPR, hands-only CPR, and become a part of the nation of lifesavers. Together, we can save lives and create a healthier and stronger DuPage County and Illinois. Thank you so much for your support.
I don't have much to say that Chair Conroy and Kim didn't already say. I just wanted to really thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the American Heart Association for giving us this proclamation for Heart Month. It's so valuable. And I just want to say there are a lot of resources available on our website if you want to become one of our Nation of Lifesavers. It is really easy to learn hands-only CPR, and you can save a life so quickly. Luckily in Illinois, we have emergency services close by, but there are a lot of places where emergency services can't get to a patient as quickly as they need to have their lives saved. Which is why we really, really lean on the fact that we want everyone to become trained in hands-only CPR, because those minutes, those seconds can make a huge difference in someone's life. It's easier than you'd ever think. All of the training can be done online or virtually. And we would love to work with your community and your county board to talk more about it if you're interested in it. But recognizing Heart Month, recognizing the impact of cardiac issues in women and in all people, as Kim said, is the first step to understanding that this is a massive problem that we can work on together. And together we can make sure that everyone stays healthy during Heart Month and the rest of the time. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'd like to invite Member Schwarzy, Janelle Chadwick, and Linda Gray to the podium. I think it's fair to say that as we move on from American Heart Month, that nobody has a bigger heart than our friend Linda Gray. Celebrating her 40th anniversary with the DuPage Care Center. And if you have ever inflated a Valentine's balloon or distributed balloons to residents, you have Linda to thank. She single-handedly developed the Valentine Balloon fundraiser for the Recreation Department. In fact, Linda has spent the last 40 years coordinating hundreds of parties and special events for the residents, including National Nursing Home Week celebrations and holiday parties. Janelle Chadwick, Executive Director of the Care Center, and Human Services Committee Chairman Greg Schwarzy are here to add their voices of congratulations as we honor Linda's service today. Greg and Janelle?
So 40 years ago, Linda started at the Care Center as a housekeeper. And over these years, she worked her way up to being the supervisor in the Recreation Department. She's an incredible party planner. She's developed creative programs over the years, including the Friday Night Club and Forever Young to accommodate our younger residents at the facility. She's helped with raising money for large TVs for the recreation room, large bingo machine, and popcorn machines for the residents. During COVID, she was integral in shifting gears to overhead programming, virtual programs for the residents. She also stepped in to provide all the programming to one of the units in the height of the pandemic. Linda was a previous recipient of the Honorary Rotarian of the Year and is a voter registrar to help all of our residents vote each year. We are honored to have an employee like Linda Gray. She is not only a dedicated leader, but she has spent the last 40 years improving the quality of life of the residents of the DuPage Care Center. Please join me in thanking Linda for her many contributions.
And I just want to say, look, we all know 40 years is an incredible amount of time to probably work underappreciated for the work that she does in the care center, taking care of, you know, our parents, our grandparents, and there is no doubt the work that you have done has made differences in people's lives. You may know it or you may not know it, but please know that we do know it, that you made a difference in people's lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It has been my honor to serve the residents, and I know they appreciate me because they tell me. So, thank you.
Okay, and we have a 35th anniversary award for Esteban Cerna, and I'd like to invite Member Childress and Nick Kottmeyer and Esteban to the podium. Our next anniversary award recipient also started his career at the Care Center before he branched out to become an electrician technician with Facilities and Public Works. Esteban Cerna's first day as a county employee was in 1990. Nick Kottmeyer is here to tell us more and to congratulate Esteban on the service anniversary.
Thank you very much. This is probably my most enjoyable part of the job, when I get to come up here and congratulate our employees who've been here for 35, 40, 45 years. But Esteban has been at the county for 35 years, and he's got a neat history. He actually started back in 1990 over in the Care Center, and he was in the laundry for 2 years over there, then transferred to the kitchen over in the Care Center for another 4 years, and then moved to housekeeping for a year, and finally he moved to maintenance then, which was kind of where he's at, and then for 2 or 3 years, and then he moved to be an electrician technician, and he's been there for 25 years. So Esteban is, if you know, in facilities and public works, we have an entire electrician group that does pretty much everything you can imagine, and Esteban is a huge part of that. He is so reliable, so dependable. He's always the first one to volunteer to come in on weekends, stay late. He's a big part of our team, and I would like to say thank you very much for everything you've done. A little interesting fact, when he was over at the Care Center, he met his wife over there. So his current wife, right? And so his wife, and he has 4 children, but he has spent a lifetime with the county, and we thank you very much. So congratulations. Say whatever. This is your time, so anything you want to say.
Well, good morning. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for the county, to all the employees who helped me to be here. And everything what I say here, I don't have to say anything else. Only thank you very much.
Okay, on the matter of public comment, according to our county board rules, members of the public shall be afforded time to address the board. Individual remarks shall not exceed 3 minutes in length, nor shall the total time provided for all remarks exceed 30 minutes. Our first speaker is
Curtis Posgay.
Hello, my name is Curtis Posgay, Director of Community and Economic Development for the Village of Bensenville, and I'm here to speak on the Mokstam conditional use for crematorium in unincorporated Bensenville. The Village of Bensenville holds steady in its position that this is a residential site. There has been one opportunity for area residents to comment on unincorporated properties, and it was this site in the county's Route 83 Corridor Land Use Plan adopted November of 21. The village is simply here to defend the voice of the community that was made clear in that planning process. The proposed use is too intense a use for this site. It is a proposed commercial use that is immediately adjacent to elementary school and Park District Water Park facility. While it may meet the county's limited requirements for a special use in this case, that doesn't mean it's a good fit for this site. The county doesn't separate funeral home and cremation services. Make no mistake, this will be similar to a large event space. It is not at all similar to the previous small church that was on the property. By the applicant's own admission, this is a unique facility, one of a kind in the Chicago region. That is what makes it not a good fit for this particular site. They plan to have over 200 events a year at a facility with over 200 person capacity and only 140 parking spaces. The applicants were not required to submit a traffic study for this project. While yes, Route 83 can handle additional traffic, there are concerns for the safety of a packed facility with vehicles turning in and out, crossing a 6-lane major arterial with no traffic light. It should be noted that the school districts continue to oppose this development along with the village, despite what was stated publicly by the petitioner's counsel. From Fenton High School Interim Superintendent Sam Benson, quote, "Our position is that we appeared with a statement and we decided not to continue appearing and did not submit anything differently to change our position. So our position has not changed. We are just not appearing at the meetings." The village can appreciate the need for this type of facility. We really can. We just don't think this particular site is a good fit. We are not against the development of this site. We just don't feel like the current owners ever put in a good faith effort to market it as residential. To this day, the for sale sign on the property says John Green Commercial, a broker with no residential focus. The village and the surrounding taxing bodies respectfully request that you deny the conditional use for the crematorium. Thank you.
Kevin Quinn.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Quinn, Village Planner with the Village of Bensenville. I've stood in front of the 2 previous boards to state that this project does not fit with the several planning documents at multiple levels of government that designate this area as a single-family residential. The Village of Bensenville's comprehensive plan includes this property as a single-family residential. Moreover, the county's own Route 83 corridor plan, developed in 2021, calls this parcel out specifically as residential. Property is surrounded on all sides by residential and institutional uses, with properties owned by local school and park districts. The previous meeting, a statement was made that there is not much difference in the land use between a church and a funeral home with the crematorium. Based on an aerial view of the property, the existing conditions take up roughly 26,000 square feet, or 12.5% of the property. Using a rough estimate of the proposed plan, assuming standard size of drive aisles and parking spaces, the site improvements would cover at least 208,566 square feet, 56 square feet, or 23.4% of the property. These improvements intensify the land use of the property in a way that raises questions, especially in relation to the critical wetland also located on the property. Finally, as we have said previously, the access to Route 83 is not able to accommodate the capacity of the event. They've said before that they would like to hold roughly 200 ceremonies a year. What happens to the roadway when there is no turn lane and the people are backed up during an overlap period between ceremonies, all while a quarter of a mile up the road the high school is hosting a football game or a band competition? A traffic study has not been presented to the officials, and we feel that there are enough concerns to the point where this development should not be approved. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Jacob Pardon.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacob Pardoon, and I work for Cremation Systems. We'd be the equipment supplier for the proposed project here. And I'll just start with a little bit about our company. We've been located here in South Holland, Illinois for over 55 years now. And we've truly designed and we build a state-of-the-art cremation chamber that does keep the environment and our customers, community, and neighbors in the forefront of our minds. All of our emissions are approved and on file with the state of Illinois under ROS, the registration of small source. ROS allows for 5 tons of particulate matter to be emitted annually. And if you were to run our retort 24/7, 365, which is virtually impossible to do, we'd still fall well short of that limit that's set by the state and set by ROS. Along with that, I know there's been concerns about potential smoke and odor. For smoke, we have had a third-party test called the EPA Method 9 Visible Emission Study, and that we passed that test with flying colors. So what that test is for is to see if there's any visible emission that is coming out of our stack, and we did pass that test. There was no visible emission at all that was emitted through our chimney or stack section. As far as the odor goes, there is absolutely no odor that is emitted from the retort at all. The way the retort is designed is there is what's called a main chamber, which is where the cremation takes place, and then all that particulate matter flows into what's called a secondary chamber, which is met with an additional burner. And what that burner, that second burner does is it breaks down that particulate matter, breaks down any potential odorous emissions, and allows enough residence time to have a clean, odorless emission that is emitted through the stack. All this information was testified at the last public hearing, and it did go unrefuted. There was no evidence that was presented to refute it. Thank you all for your time today.
Pete DeCiani.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the County Board. My name is Pete DeCiani. I'm here on behalf of the Mashkam Hindu Funeral Home / Crematorium. Before I speak on my behalf and on their behalf, I would like to read a letter from Mayor Gopal Lamalani. My name is Dr. Gopal Lamalani, a practicing cardiologist and a citizen of DuPage County for over 45 years. Many of you remember me as the 3-term mayor of Oak Brook from 2011 to 2023. For several decades, as a member of the Hindu faith, our community has been looking for a facility that will handle the rituals, the ceremonies, and the remains of members of our Hindu faith. The opportunity you have before you is a 501c3 Hindu-based facility that will engage the community and address the needs of our residents of the Hindu faith. This worthy facility will also accommodate the needs of other faiths, including Christians, who are looking for a funeral home crematorium facility. I sincerely hope and pray that you will join me in supporting and improving this great organization that will embrace our Hindu community as well as the communities of other faiths. Thank you for your kind attention and your favorable consideration of this unique opportunity. I also presented, which you should all have, a letter from our Congressman, Raja Krishnamurthy, who also supports this facility and represents the area in which the location this will be going. The main issues that we're dealing with are zoning. This is not a variation. This is a permitted conditional use, as our schools, as our parks, and as our churches, all of which exist in this particular site. This is not really a commercial use. As you can see today, again, our schools and parks, while they may be in the record opposing, are not here physically in outcry. And that's what I pointed out last meeting. As I had spoken to presidents of each of those boards, they said they would not be sending anybody to speak against this at these meetings. Again, funeral homes are allowed as a conditional use and have been granted in DuPage County. I don't believe that we've never not granted a funeral home crematorium the right to have conditional use in the residential zoning, which is right in the living word of our code. Traffic. The current church has identical parking to what this particular funeral home crematorium will ask for. No additional parking needs, and the rituals will be done at various hours outside of the non-peak times of traffic. So middle day, at night, on weekends, when traffic is not an issue whatsoever. So there'll be no negative effect. There's no streets that go through to the schools that are surrounding here. It's in and out off of 83. Environmental. The expert just testified. No smoke, no fumes, no gas, nothing that you could see permeating from this. And the biggest concern right now is environmental wetlands, which are currently in violation with the county, will all be improved with Christopher Burke's engineering plan to make this a better site, to protect wildlife, to create a buffer, and to make the site environmentally friendly. And lastly is political. A not in my backyard argument is not an argument to be had here. This is a religious 501c3 replacing another religious 501c3. I'm hoping that members of the county board and the chairwoman here.
Mr. DeCiani, your time is up. Can
Thank
you
you.
wrap this up, please?
Yes, we'll look favorable on this. Thank you.
Okay. If the board has received public comment by our online portal, excuse me, per board policy, those comments were provided to members yesterday so they could be reviewed. Comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. Okay. Okay, I'd like to invite Steve Fixler to the podium.
There you go. Thanks. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here. A couple of years ago, there was a change to the MVA, the Military Veterans State law that we come under. And under that, I just want to give you an update on the change and the change of our office and everything. Our financial assistance program was on track again, similar to last year. We provided $238,859 in total financial assistance to veterans and their families, including rent, mortgage, car repairs, car payments, transportation. But our biggest improvement was assisting veterans and their families in filing VA claims. We only filed for 7 months last year, but we filed 86 VA claims, and our veterans here in DuPage County received $236,113. That ain't a whole lot, but it's still good. We're moving forward and everything. Most of them were primarily DuPage County residents, about 99%. As the VACs, we only file claims for people in our county. But Cook County is still getting a little reorganized, so we will accept just a couple from Cook County to help them out. But 99% of this is DuPage County. Our state association compiled a 2024 annual report that I just got on Friday. In all the VACs together, 36 of them that's filed the report, for the entire state, we brought in $132,909,005 of new money. I kind of questioned that. That's a lot of money coming into the state. And breaking it down to the VACs, breaking it down per veteran, that's correct and everything like that. So we're a small part of that, the $236,000, but 2025 will be our first full year of filing claims. We plan to increase what we did and continue to help the veterans here in DuPage County. We're part of the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, NACVSO. They accredit us with the VA. And with all the states that are part of this national association, we were #1 in the entire country for filing VA claims, to helping out the veterans and bringing in money to the state and the county. A few years ago, the state of Illinois was 52nd in the nation for filing VA claims and bringing in money to the state. How could we be 52nd out of 50 states? Okay, I'm not a math major, but that included DC and Puerto Rico. We're now 47th. We're moving up. Illinois has the 10th largest veteran population, and we intend to get at least the 10th place, I guess. But we're moving up in everything. A couple of reasons why I'm speaking today is to show you the progress we're making with VA claims, with the new law and everything like that. And we want you to continue to put the word out that we're here in the county building to file financial assistance and VA claims. And we're looking at 20 and 25 to be bigger and better, and we appreciate your support over the past, well, I've been here 15 years, I guess, so many years, and to continue to work in the future. I've had a few board members come up to me once in a while. I know Member Schwarze's come up to me and a couple others. How's things going? What you doing? What's going on? So I thought I'd just come just for a few minutes and just explain everything like that. Subject to your questions, this completes my briefing. Uh-oh.
Nope, Member Schwarze.
No question. Just thank you for your hard work. Again, we don't hear a lot about what goes on, and I'm glad you're here sharing it with us and some positive news, even though it could be better. But you're moving things in the right direction, so thank you very much.
Yeah,
Steve.
it is positive. Things have been going really well. The new VA laws and everything like that have helped out the veterans and their families here in DuPage County tremendously. All right. Otherwise,
Thank you,
Chair,
Paul.
thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you do for our veterans.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, a little bit earlier, you heard us talking about a Valentine's Day balloon fundraiser for the Care Center. We can all lift the spirits of our Care Center residents by purchasing balloons to be delivered on Valentine's Day. Board members are once again invited to the Care Center on February 14th at 9 a.m. to fill and deliver balloons. So please mark your calendars, and if you have any questions, our county board staff can assist you. Anyone wishing to purchase balloons can do so through February 13th. Information is available on the DuPage County webpage found at our county website. That's dupagecounty.gov. Our next anniversary. Now we're going to move on to consent agenda. Okay, well, that made my job easy. Okay. 25-03-34 DuPage County Board Regular Minutes, Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. 25-236-19-2025 auto debit pay list, 25-237-110-2025 pay list, 25-288-114-2025 pay list, 25-0329 117 2025 pay list, 25-338 117 2025 auto debit pay list, 25-224 19 2025 Corville wire transfer, 25-246 19 2025 IDOR wire transfer, 25-263 Recorder's Monthly Revenue Statement, December 2024, 25-293 Treasurer's Monthly Report of Investments and Deposits, November 2024, 25-294 Treasurer's Monthly Report of Investment and Deposits, December 2024, 25-348 Change orders to various contracts as specified in your attached packet. All in favor? Okay, we'll move on to Vice Chair, Member Childress.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on to CBR 725, the appointment of John Demling to the DuPage County Board of Ethics Commission.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert.
Aye.
Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia. Member Heather.
Yes.
Member Honig.
Yes.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. And Member Cahill.
Okay, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on CBR 825, the appointment of my friend Andrew Honig to the Emergency Telephone Systems Board.
Leave is granted. Seriously? Oh, okay. Member Ozog.
I want to thank you for your appointment or reappointment of John Demling to the Ethics Commission. I've known him for many, many years. He's served as the Glen Ellen Village President. He is a retired judge, and I'm really pleased that he's continuing to serve on the Ethics Board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was concerned you had issues with Member Honig.
And
Okay,
thank
leave
you
is
to Member
granted.
Honig as well. Enjoy your new position.
Okay, congratulations, Member Honig. On to Finance and Member Deacon Garcia.
Thank you, Chair. I make a motion to approve FIR 1225, additional appropriation for the Animal Services Fund for $3,066,910.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Yes. Member Honig. Yes. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. And Member Galassi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FIR 1325, additional appropriation for the Animal Services Fund for $87,750.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FIR 1725, approval of round 2 of the small agency grant program in the amount of $1,050,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FIR 1825, acceptance and appropriation of additional funding for the Aging Case Coordination Unit for the program year 25 in the amount of $10,000 for the period of October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025 for, that's it.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Anybody leave?
Second, I'll say roll.
Okay, there. Okay, make a motion to approve FIR 1925, acceptance and appropriation of interest earned on investment for the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. This is in the amount of $1,365.
Second, I'll say roll.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve FIR 2025, acceptance and appropriation of interest earned on investment for the DuPage Animal Friends Unrestricted Program Year 24 grant. accounting number for $1,428.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIR 2125, acceptance and appropriation of the ILDCEO. This is for the Community Services Block Grant for Program Year 25, intergovernmental agreement. This is in the amount of $1,269,609.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I make a motion to approve the FIR 2225, authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement between Wheaton Park District and DuPage County on behalf of the DuPage County Clerk for polling place accessibility improvements.
Okay, Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had questions in finance about this, why we were doing this, I thought, all polling places had to be ADA accessible. Did we get any answers to any of my questions?
No, but it's out of their budgets.
It's my understanding that Heidi from County Board emailed down there. Is there anybody online in the clerk's office?
Do we have anybody online with the clerk's office to address this question?
Well, Madam Chair, I don't think there's a time issue on this until our questions get answered. I'd like to pull this until the February 11th meeting, if possible.
Okay, do we have a okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to pull it from the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, Member Garcia.
Make a motion to approve FIR 2325, budget transfers of 128-2025 for various companies and accounting units.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia. Oh, we need a roll call. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say,
roll
'cause
call,
they pulled
please.
the last one.
Sorry.
Member Garcia.
Aye.
Member Heather. Member Honig.
Yes.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress. Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. And Member Galassi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
And finally, I make a motion to approve FIR 2425, approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage and DuPage Paths for additional shelter capacity in the amount of $200,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Garcia. Truly, thank you for that. Animal Services and Member Krajewski.
I move on ASR 001-25, correction of a Scrivener's error in resolution ASCO 0002-23.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Krajewski.
Aye.
Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay.
Aye.
Member Cahill. Member Childress. Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia. Member Heather. And Member Honig.
Yes.
Okay, Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on ASP 0002-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Midwest Veterinarian Supply, Inc. for the purchase of a cold laser therapy system for the animal services, amount not to exceed $33,919.42.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Development and Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no committee update, but I would move approval of DCO 2-25, zoning 2475, the Marshdown conditional use for a funeral home with cremation services in the R4 single-family residence district.
Okay, roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, we have discussion. Member Cahill.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I wanted to discuss this issue on the floor today. I wanted to say, first of all, Mr. DeCiani, the Moshi Dam Crematorium, Inc. is a 501c13, not a 501c3 charity. I don't want the board to be misled that it is a charity like we are giving out nonprofits. It says directly on their website, a 501c13, and on the application. And that, according to the IRS, has specific regulations of what they can and cannot do. Moshi Dam Crematorium is primarily, in my opinion, a crematorium. Our code allows permitted conditional use for a funeral home with an ancillary crematorium. So that's what the code says, funeral home with an ancillary crematorium. Second, this is the only crematorium or funeral home with a crematorium in a single-family residential zoned area in DuPage County right now. We have one in Bartlett in a commercial but residential adjacent. One in Roselle, commercial, residential adjacent. This is zoned single-family residential. So that to me is a big difference. Second, I've been contacted by the mayors, the managers, constituents, residents about opposing this project. They do not want this project next to schools. The children don't want it. I mean, the parents don't want the project. Second, there was a year and a half ago in Mount Prospect in Cook County, granted it was Cook County, the Matt's Funeral Home wanted to put an ancillary crematorium. They were zoned residential. And the community in Mount Prospect a year and a half ago was really upset about this. They started a petition, and the petition went out to change.org petition. There was hundreds of people who complained about this, and as a result, the Matt's Funeral Home withdrew their petition to go forth with this. So I'm saying that people are sensitive in a residential area, and I believe this is a wonderful organization and a wonderful service that it provides in a commercial or industrial area, not in a residential area. I believe it is much better suited for that, and I urge my board members today to vote no on this and to have this moved to some kind of other area that is not in a residential community so close to the schools and the parks. Thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
If I
Oh,
may,
I'm sorry.
if there's
Member
no,
Tornatore.
There's no other public comment. I'm a bit conflicted this morning on this. I've gotten one call from one mayor who has objected to it on some grounds, and of course the Bensonville Park District has objected to this on a number of occasions. And while I've always tried to listen and continue to listen to my constituents, you got to weigh that against the rights of property owners to do what they can with their property within the confines of our zoning entitlements. This property has been before the county about 3 times and has been before this board twice, and we have rejected it. The objections are it's not a good fit, but not real specifics in terms of how it's not a good fit. As to the stormwater issues, my understanding from Chairman Zay and Paul Haas is that all the wetland issues have been or will be resolved. It's in better shape or will be in better shape with this than it was before. This was unanimously approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals, unanimously approved by the Development Committee. There is, as been indicated earlier, a letter of support from my congressman, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. The environmental protection issues are negligible, if there are any whatsoever. And I think regardless of the objections, even in my own seat mates in District 1, I think the credibility of the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Development Committee are somewhat at stake here, and that regardless of today's vote, this is a conditional use, meaning that the property owners have to follow the conditions that were set under the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is a carte blanche for them to do whatever they want, whenever they want, impugning the integrity of the area. And there's still time for these parties to negotiate in some meaningful negotiations if they want. This is not going to get built tomorrow. This is just an opportunity for them to do what they want to do. So for all of those reasons, and with apologies to one of my mayors in my district, I'm going to be voting to approve this.
Okay, Member, you had a comment or a question?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to let obviously the Chair of Development, Chair Tornatore, talk about this. But I just want to mention also that yes, because this is a conditional use and all the standards have been met, I did vote in favor of this on Development Committee. I've also attended Hindu funeral rites before. I think it was the location in Bartlett, actually, and this used to be the site of a church, and now this is a proposal for a Hindu crematorium to honor their dead, as well as people of other religious faiths. And considering I've been to other Hindu family rites, and they are very what is the word? Peaceful, honorable. I know that there is some concern about this being a misuse of the space, but I don't see that. And so that is why I voted in favor of this during Development Committee as well. Thank you.
Member Krajewski.
So just real brief to pick up on Member Cahill said this is a 501c13, not a 501c3, but they just may want to double check the 501c13 statutes to make sure that they're in compliance, because I know some of the things I think that have been testified maybe don't apply to 501c13s. It's supposed to be only exclusively for the benefit of members, which I know there's been some testimony that it's open to the public, et cetera, but they may be. Member Cahill quoted.
Okay, so Member Tornatore, does the 501c13 status affect the zoning at all?
I don't think that was a relevant issue.
Okay, stated. Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just speaking because Member Tornatore brought this up, I've been involved many times with this property. They had a major stormwater violation. The church went in there and basically clear-cut the property years ago and was working to remedy those situations. There have been multiple developments out there, as Member Tornatore has said, and with all regards to Bensonville and the Park District, they've had their opportunity to go and get this property if they wanted to, and they've been told that many of times, and that the Park District was going to buy it, and they were going to do a lot of stuff on this property, and even to the point where the one development, Bensonville would not give them water and sewer. So, I mean, what you're looking at here is, don't do it, but we don't want anything else there, and we're going to try to live off this property as much as we can. I mean, again, it's not my district, but again, if they follow all our zoning and what we have in that area, I mean, that's our responsibility. It's ours just to be the judge and jury here. They follow our zoning rules, and again, if they're gonna, as far as I'm concerned, they're fixing the stormwater violations they had in the past, then it meets our requirements. Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Tornatore.
Aye.
Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Aye. Member Cahill.
No.
Member Childress. Yes. Member Covert.
Aye.
Member Desart. Aye. Member Eckhoff. Aye. Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Galassi. No. Member Garcia. Aye. Member Heather. Yes. Member Honig.
Yes.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. And Member Schwarzy.
Okay, Member Tornatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 3-25 zoning 2461 to approve a conditional use to allow a small pier approximately 1 inch from the interior site property line due to the location of the lake. This is a zoning hearing officer's recommendation and development committee's vote to approve.
Okay, we need a roll call on this, please.
Member Tornatore.
Aye.
Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Galassi. Member Garcia. Member Heather. Member Honig.
Yes.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. And Member Schwarzy.
Okay, Member Tornatore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 4-25 zoning 2465 to approve a variation to reduce the required lot size of 2 lots serviced with water and sewer from 15,000 square feet to approximately 8,440 square feet for lots 1 and 2, for a variation to reduce the required lot width for a corner lot variation to increase the floor area ratio permitted on Lot 1 to approximately 0.42 for an existing house and 600 square feet for a detached garage. If the county board does seek approval of this, it will require a 3/4 majority vote, as it was denied by the zoning hearing officer and the development committee.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Tornatori,
No.
Member Yu,
No.
Member Zay, Member Cahill, Member Childress, Member Covert,
No.
Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
No.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia, Member Heather, Member Honig,
No.
Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, and Member Schwarzy.
Okay, Member Tonatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 5-25 zoning 2469 to approve a variation to reduce the required lot size for 2 new lots serviced with well and septic from 40,000 square feet to approximately 10,314 square feet and 21,940 square feet, as well as a variation to reduce the required lot width for 1 interior lot serviced with well and septic from 125 feet wide to approximately 91.33 feet. This, again, would require a 3/4 vote for county board approval, as it was denied by the zoning hearing officer and the development committee.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Tornatori,
No.
Member Yu,
No.
Member Zay, Member Cahill, Member Childress, Member Covert, Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
No.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia, Member Heather, Member Honig,
No.
Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, and Member Schwarzy.
Okay, Member Tonatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to waive first reading of item 12E, DCO 6-25, regarding text amendments to the DuPage County zoning ordinance.
Do we have a motion
I need a second.
and a second? Okay. Waiving of first reading has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Reading is waived. Member Tonatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 6-25, T-3-24 text amendment to the DuPage County zoning ordinance to approve T-3-24 relative to the principal arterial conversion of a single dwelling unit into not more than 2 dwelling units.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Tornatori,
Aye.
Member Yu,
Aye.
Member Zay, Member Cahill, Member Childress,
Yes.
Member Covert,
Aye.
Member Desart, Member Eckhoff, Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Galassi, Member Garcia, Member Heather, Member Honig,
Yes.
Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozog, Member Rutledge, and Member Schwarzy.
Okay, thank you, Member
Thank you, Madam
Tonatori.
Chair.
Okay, environment, or economic development, I'm sorry, and Member Yu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you for the appointment to the Economic Development Committee. We had our first committee meeting just last week for the year, but I do want to make just a quick statement with regard to so as has been previously stated during finance, there's a lot of uncertainty at this time regarding the federal dollars that fund many of our DuPage programs. And I want to make clear that WorkNet DuPage is 100% federally funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Our county workforce development services, the job training grants that residents receive to re-enter employment and increase their family earning potential, as well as the training funds that support local employers, and all of our WorkNet staff are funded by these federal dollars. Although no guidance has been received from the state's Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity or the Federal Department of Labor on how to proceed yet, it could mean that individuals who are planning on receiving their grant and starting their education programs will be put on hold. So the situation is fluid and everyone at WorkNet DuPage is concerned, but waiting to see what comes down. I bring this to your attention to keep in mind that advancing workforce development must be a priority for this board. Workforce development helps families maintain or achieve self-sufficiency, which contributes to our county's economic growth, which in turn impacts our county revenue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to environmental and Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. I'm going to kind of come behind our Economic Development Chair's comments. At the last board meeting, I raised concerns about the incoming administration because we had not seen anything yet. I was accused of being partisan, but here we are a week into the new administration. We've been withdrawn from the Paris Accords. EV vehicle support is being rolled back. PFAS regulations are being rolled back. Reducing environmental standards are being rolled back. And my hair is on fire being the chair of the Environmental Committee. And I don't think that anyone at these places cannot be concerned about what we're going to have to deal with going forward. So we've got a lot of things that we're going to have to figure out. And I think that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, that doesn't exclude you from having to figure out some really tough stuff going forward. So the other thing I want to comment on is for the last 3 years, I love our care center. I want to make sure that our residents are happy over there. But the Mylar balloons filled with helium are not good for the environment, and they're using the valuable resource of helium that is used in MRI machines and is a non-renewable resource, when I think there are other ways to help celebrate our care center residents for Valentine's Day. So I'll just keep saying that. Thank you.
Okay. Human Services and Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for mentioning the Valentine Balloons event that starts up for Valentine's Day. I have researched, Mylar balloons are recyclable. I know my trash hauler, Flood Brothers, does accept them in the recycling bin. I can't speak on the helium issue, but you know, it's a small gesture that goes a really long way. It's been more popular every year, and sometimes our lonely residents of the DuPage Care Center really appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. I'd also like to thank this board for approving our round 2 of our Small Human Services grant. The portal opens tomorrow, so there will be a media blast through many different avenues informing our 501c3s that this is beginning. But if you have somebody in particular that you guys want to make sure they are in on it, please let them know yourself. So thank you very much. I'll move on. Item HSR 325, recommendation of approval of a first modification to Community Development Block Grant agreement with Bridge Communities, Inc., Stability Program for Families Experiencing Homelessness, project number CD 2405, adding eligible reimbursement of costs for 2 additional direct service staff to the project scope.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Schwarzy.
Aye.
Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia. Member Heather. Member Honig.
Yes.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. And Member Rutledge.
Okay, Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on HSR 425, the 2025 to 2029 Consolidated Plan and 2025 Annual Action Plan element of the Consolidated Plan, DuPage County Consortium, first reading, acceptance of the 2025 to 2029 Consolidated Plan and 2025 Annual Action Plan element of the 2025 to 2029 Consolidated Plan for the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, and Emergency Solutions Grant programs to qualify and receive the Department of Housing and Urban Development grant funds.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. Okay, Judicial and Public Safety, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSCO-1-25, amendment to purchase order 7032-1 serve issued to Trinity Services Group to increase the contract encumbrance in the amount of $100,345 for a new contract total not to exceed $1,325,376.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Galassi. Member Garcia. Member Heather. Member Honig.
Yes.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Aye.
Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert.
Aye.
Member Desart. And Member Eckhoff.
Okay. Member Evans.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP-7-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of an interview recording system for the Sheriff's Office for the period of February 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028, for a contract total amount not to exceed $172,633.19.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you. And finally, I'd like to move on JPSP-11-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to the DuPage County Health Department to provide a court navigator for court participants in the 18th Judicial Circuit for the period of February 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2025, for a contract total amount not to exceed $48,000.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Evans.
Thank you.
Legislative and Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to remind everybody that we've only had McGuire Woods Consulting be our federal lobbyist for 1 year, and already in that time, getting congressional approval for more than $1.5 million in FY25 federal funding. We've seen to it to get us $1.1 million stormwater management projects, $250,000 infrastructure and mobility work, $300,000 in flood reduction, and they're tracking all of the federal grant and funding opportunities for the county. And those are just a couple of things that they've done. So I appreciate their work, and I appreciate their value to DuPage County. And with that, I move to approve LEG-P-1-25, a recommendation for the approval of a county contract to McGuire Woods Consulting, LLC, to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the U.S. Congress and the federal executive branch for DuPage County's Division of Transportation, Public Works, Stormwater Management, and in fact all of the other departments and agencies for the period of February 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026 for the county board for a contract total not to exceed $96,000.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia. Member Heather. Member Honig.
Aye.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozog. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Aye.
Member Zay. Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
And Member Covert.
Okay, Member Heather, did you have something?
I did. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to talk about the court navigator position. I just wanted to highlight the vision and the leadership of Chief Judge Bonnie Wheaton in making that possible, and the help, the effortless and collaborative effort of the health department, especially our executive director, Adam Forker, in just working so seamlessly with the chief judge, with the board members of the health department in making that possible. So just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
Okay. Public Works and Member Childress.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick update, next Tuesday, February 4th, the 9 a.m. Public Works Committee will host Taylor Studio via Zoom to present the revised schematic design for the 421 Heritage Gallery Replacement Project. All county board members are invited to participate in the discussion that will follow the presentation. Later this week, Facilities Management will send out the updated schematic design document Taylor Studio has put together for board members to review ahead of the committee presentation. This project is scheduled to have an in-person focus group in March, followed by a more general public survey. I look forward to the working with the design team and all the interested board members for the Heritage Gallery replacement. With that, I'd like to move on FMP 125, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Red Wing Brand of America to furnish safety shoes, work boots as needed for the facilities management, public works, stormwater care center, and the Division of Transportation for the period of February 23rd, 2025 through February 22nd, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $46,400.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Childress?
Yes.
Member Covert?
Aye.
Member Desart? Member Eckhoff? Member Evans? Member Galassi? Member Garcia? Member Heather? Member Honig?
Yes.
Member Krajewski? Member LaPlante? Member Ozog? Member Rutledge? Member Schwarzy? Member Tornatori? Member Yu?
Aye.
Member Zay? And Member Cahill.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Childress. Stormwater and Member Zay.
No report, Madam Chair.
Okay, Technology, Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank you for appointing me as the chair of the Technology Committee. I met with Anthony and some staff members last week from Technology Committee for 30 minutes. And Grant, I'm sorry. Member Eckhoff.
Please don't forget Member
I cannot
Eckhoff.
forget Member Eckhoff.
Guy in the back row.
We met for about 30 minutes in setting out and clarifying goals, objectives, policies, and procedures. My main goal is to ensure efficiency and transparency for this committee. I will be sending out a letter outlining our policies and procedures soon to the appropriate individuals and departments, and will provide these updates that I provided today at the next Technology Committee meeting. So with that, I move on TECO 1-25, amendment to county contract issued to Revise LLC for professional services to plan, design, and implement a custom website, and to provide annual hosting support and maintenance for information technology, to increase the encumbrance by $16,500, resulting in an amended contract total of $188,600, an increase of 9.59%.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Covert?
Aye.
Member Desart? Member Eckhoff? Member Evans? Member Galassi? Member Garcia? Member Heather? Member Honig?
Aye.
Member Krajewski? Member LaPlante? Member Ozog? Member Rutledge? Member Schwarzy? Member Tornatori? Member Yu?
Aye.
Member Zay? Member Cahill? And Member Childress.
Okay, thank you, Member Covert. Transportation and Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last week at in the Hinsdale Lake Terrace neighborhood, our director, Steve Travia, our senior transportation planner, John Loper, and Chris Rose from PACE, all manned or womaned a table there. And we were giving information out about the project with PACE, with a joint project with PACE and Uber, and providing transportation directly to this neighborhood, which will really help people with, in particular, jobs and medical appointments. This is a very underserved neighborhood, so we're excited to get this going, and we're up to almost 150 registrations so far, so that was very good news. And let's see, I now move for approval of DTP 000425, recommendation for the approval of a contract to RTA Fleet Success for fleet management software for the Division of Transportation for the period of February 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $46,317.75.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Member Ozog?
Aye.
Member Rutledge? Member Schwarzy? Member Tornatori? Member Yu?
Aye.
Member Zay? Member Cahill? Member Childress? Member Covert? Member Desart? Member Eckhoff? Member Evans? Member Galassi? Member Garcia. Member Heather. Member Honig.
Aye.
Member Krajewski. And Member LaPlante.
Okay, Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 000525, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Sutton Ford Incorporated to furnish and deliver 2 Ford F-550 Super Cab chassis for the Division of Transportation for the period of January 28th, 2025 through November 30th, 2025, for a contract total not to exceed $144,260.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 000625, recommendation for the approval of a contract with Monroe Truck Equipment Incorporated to furnish and install 2 dump bodies on 2 Ford F-550 chassis for the Division of Transportation for the period of January 28th, 2025 through November 30th, 2025, for a contract total not to exceed $74,797. Thank you.
Okay, leave is granted. Thank you, Member Ozog.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to old business. Does anyone have anything under old business? I know new business, we have lots. Old business, Member Krajewski.
Real quick, I mentioned it before, and we heard a lot of comments today in finance and regarding Washington, but again, the need for DuPage County to be home rule. We never know what Washington's going to do or Springfield's going to do. We've heard a lot of talk today in finance about Washington and what they may or may not do to affect our funding. Jeff did mention today during his presentation about the local government distributive share, which we get from Springfield, which is 6.7, I think, percent, he said. And that may or may not be changed, hopefully not, but that used to be 10%. I'm sure Chair Conroy was down in Springfield and knew what all the municipalities and mayors and counties went to him to try to get that restored. But that's $2.5 million based on the 16 that we collected. So we've lost $2.5 million for each of the last, how long that was when they dropped it. In addition to, Member Evans and I were at our District 3 mayor's meeting, and they eliminated the 1% sales tax on groceries, which Springfield gets nothing on that. It's all the municipalities. So the local mayors were looking on how to implement their own. They did give non-home rule communities the ability to add that 1%. So they're trying to make that gap up. So we can't rely on whatever Springfield's going to do what they're going to do, and Washington's going to do what they're going to do, and we can try to influence them. But again, the need for us to be home ruled to allow us to do what we can. But we've been dealing this for decades with Springfield and Washington. Anytime they want to balance their budgets, they do it. It appears on the back of our local municipalities. And there were a lot of articles 4 or 5 years ago about when that local distributive share went down, it forced municipalities to raise property taxes. Hence why we have some of the highest property taxes. And, we all look at that as our money. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, push to be home rule.
Okay, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask what the process is? Does anybody here know what the process is to become home rule? I don't know the logistics of that.
It's a referendum or legislatively.
Basically, the state legislature says any county that's over about 2 million, they use
2
population.
million,
so
yeah.
Basically, it's Cook. So Cook can be home rule, but everybody
Right.
else. And then, or you can do it by either a citizen referendum, or put it on a ballot, citizens, or we can do a referendum ourselves. It would be
So Member Evans, we'll put this on the agenda for discussion so that it seems like I've had a lot of board members reach out to me, and clearly what's going on nationally has moved this conversation forward for us. So we will put that on the agenda. Anybody else in old business? Okay, new business. Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hadn't thought about talking about this today, but I think Member Rutledge brings up an excellent point, and this is the perfect time to talk about it because I think for the care center, it is so important to appreciate our residents there, and so I love the idea of the balloons. I don't like the fact of the balloons because, as Member Rutledge said, helium is finite, and it's going to be gone one day soon. So, I think that Member Rutledge is spot on, but I also think that Chair Schwartzy is spot on where we need to appreciate them. So I think that the helium balloons are probably ordered for Valentine's Day 2025, but maybe for 2026, we could think about carnations or those little box of candy hearts or some other way to appreciate our residents. And I think now, a year in advance, would be a great time to start having this conversation. Thank you.
Okay. Member Rutledge?
Thank you, Chair Conroy. So I understand that the trash haulers say that you can put Mylar balloons in your curbside, but they're so lightweight, they blow all over the place, and that's the problem with Mylar balloons. And they end up in farm fields and lakes where wildlife eat them and then starve to death because it cuts off the path to their stomach. So it's bigger than, yes, I can put it in my curbside recycling. If it ends up in a landfill, that's where they're gonna blow all over the place too. So the idea is to not get them to the landfill to begin with. So thank you, Member Dessart, for talking about that as well. Again, I've been talking about it for a couple of years now, and as much, I like those little solar little flowers that bob in the window, because that's something that could stay with them a long, long time rather than the Mylar balloons. I will commend Janelle, because she did say that they get those balloons back and they empty them of the helium and then they recycle them. So I don't think those particular balloons are going in a landfill, but it is the general problem that I'm referring to, and we've kind of got to stop doing the things that we've always done just because we've always done them. So
Right.
thank you so much.
Perhaps until all of the Mylar balloons have lived their life, we can continue. And then once they're gone and we can't recycle them anymore, maybe we can consider something new. Member Schwarzy?
I was just going to comment. Thank you for your input. Message received. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to add, I want to thank all of you for the very thoughtful conversation you had during finance. And I want to assure all of you and thank all of you for your fiscal responsibility and the fact that this board puts our communities first in every decision that we make. I know we don't know what we don't know, right? We've got some really scary news from the federal government yesterday, but I want you to be confident that we will be, just like this board was with COVID, we will be prepared for whatever comes our way. And while I think we have some different philosophies on budgeting, currently we are in a very strong fiscal position. So we will, going forwards, put the best interest of all of our residents first. So thank you all for all of that, and we're going to continue on that path. So anybody else? Okay. I'm informed we do not. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, Nick got some numbers. So we do have some actual numbers from some of our departments.
Thank you. Obviously, this is changing quickly, and as we speak, it's changing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update you what I know right now, the impact to our departments as I know it right now, and then at the end, I'm going to actually call up two different departments, the most impacted. So this is what we know. Yesterday, the Executive Office of the President, the Office of Management and Budget, released a memo that effectively stops all federal disbursements moving forward, starting at 5 o'clock today is the date that they stop. Now, what they did not stop is they did not stop Social Security or Medicare. That is what we know. Now, what it is, I think, reading it, they are stopping everything while they figure out what it is they want to do. I mean, do we think everything's going to stop? No. We think things will start, but we don't know right now. So the question is, how does this impact us? Well, clearly, we're still trying to figure it out. I mean, I'm getting texts as I'm sitting here right now from different department heads, but this is what we know. The first thing is we are going to hold off on WorkNet and community services till the end. They're the most impacted by far. So we will go through the other ones, and then we will talk to Lisa and Mary directly. They can come up here. So first of all, Care Center. It never said anything about Medicaid. Medicaid is a component of what they get reimbursed. Do we think that is not going to be paid? No, we don't, but it wasn't mentioned. We don't know. So that is going to be, and that is several $1 million for Medicaid reimbursement. Transportation, obviously still looking at it, but luckily we have no Tiger grants right now, which are most of the federal funding, but they do have programs. They do have federal funding, the Safe Roads program, some project grants, not a huge impact, and hopefully the infrastructure money will come. We don't see an immediate impact. If it persists, that could be a problem. Holding off on WorkNet Community Services. Public Works, we have a $10.2 million grant right now from the feds, as well as a $300,000 grant. We have spent about $6.1 million of that grant. That project's ongoing as we speak right now. So there's no way to stop the project. It'll cost us more. So we will likely cover it, and hopefully, I mean, there's no stopping in the middle. We have to get it done, so we will find a way to pay for it and continue on without stopping the project. The $300,000 grant, that was for the water project we actually talked about in finance. So that one is holding off. A big concern of mine is ARPA, because ARPA, if you recall, I mean, we've met every single deadline. We had everything allocated by the end of '24 as we were supposed to, and then you're supposed to have everything expended by '26. Now, we possess the money, but there is still $30 million we have in allocated unspent funds. So we have $30 million in our account, and they are primarily two projects, the CRC and the Care Center Rehab. Those are our two projects. There was no mention of ARPA whatsoever. So that is a concern. We're still trying to figure out the level of it, but we think there are federal grants for both the sheriff's office and state's attorney. We're trying to figure out what we're talking about. My guess is a couple $100,000 each, probably. We don't know. ROE is one that we have to explore. That could be substantial. We don't know exactly, and I don't know, Amber, if we think that it is. I mean, if you want to hold off, we'll add you to the group of three at the end. But that one, stormwater, they have about $2 million in grants that they have. 2 US EPA and 1 FEMA. $2 million of grants. Nothing. I mean, obviously, if they don't get the money, that's a problem. But if they hold off a little bit, it's not going to be catastrophic. So that one isn't doing it. Health Department, that's going to be a problem. They have approximately $10.4 million of their budget is through federal funds, as we were told this morning. I think they're still trying to figure it out, but that could be a problem. And now, do we think those programs are going to go away? I don't know. The guess is as good as mine. OEM, small grant, $40,000. We've already seen the impact in environmental/facilities management for some of the, charging stations, solar, things like that. They were pretty much stopped at one of the first executive orders, so that doesn't surprise me. I will tell you what we're doing right now. So what's happened since then? Well, at 10:30 this morning, I have a press release that there's a coalition of states filing suit. Our state's one of them. And they expect to file that suit by end of today to block this action. Where that goes, who knows? That's one thing. Right now, as we speak, the governor is having a Zoom meeting with various government entities. That's where Jeremy is as we speak right now, because we were told 3 minutes before it started. So he's on there with our state's attorney in there as well, trying to figure out what the lay of the land is. Like I said, this is changing by the minute. We've already been in contact with Greg Bales. He's got his ear to the ground in Washington, trying to figure out what is going on, what does it mean, what funds are in there. My biggest concern right now is ARPA funds, because those projects we've got $30 million at risk, but nobody's mentioned it. So that's kind of where we're at. With that being said, the only three that I haven't talked about, community services, WorkNet, and ROE. ROE is trying to figure it out. I will tell you right now, community services is almost 100% funded by the feds, okay? And Mary can tell you far more in a second. WorkNet, almost 100% funded by the feds. What we need to do, and that creates a real problem, because those grants are what pays not only the programs, but the personnel in those programs. And while they're figuring out, and every indication is maybe when they sort it out, these programs might still be fine, but in the meantime, these employees theoretically aren't getting paid. So that's the real concern we've got here. And until this is sorted out, and if this does continue and we can't pay those employees, this board and the chair have a decision to make. And I think the only decision you guys have to make is if we do get to a point where we don't have the funding or not getting the federal funding, we will have to do an emergency procurement to pay those individuals to keep them employed while this is being worked out. So it's on hold. What the memo says is it starts today at 5 o'clock, and it talks about no later than February 10th, agencies shall submit an OMB detailed information. So they're looking to move pretty quick, but we might have to bridge a gap for a couple months here. And the only way to do that is an emergency procurement to cover the salaries if we have to. I mean, some of them, WorkNet might have a reserve. I don't think Community Services does. So if it's, I mean, I think it'd be good to get a little bit of direction, because we're gonna have to cover payroll for these agencies if it gets to that. And the only way to do that is through contingency, through a emergency procurement, and then we will ratify it then at the next board meeting. But this is changing so fast, we don't know what's happening. I mean, I'm sure by the end of the day, it'll be totally different too. So before, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to hear from the three most impacted
Okay.
departments first.
Is it okay if we hear from the departments and then do questions? Oh, go ahead, Member Tonatori.
We, the ARPA money, we physically have the 30 million. So they would have to, we would have to send it back.
They'd have to bring it, yeah, they'd have to pull it
And I will tell
back.
you right now, I had a meeting with the entire ARPA team. We are better than 99.9% of the municipalities and governments across the country with how we spent it, how we documented what we've done, following the directions, but they would have to physically claw it back from us.
Okay.
So there are options out there if we get to that, but that is a concern. So why don't we start with community services with Mary Keating?
Okay, Member Desart, and then we're going to move to departments.
Thank you so much for coming to me, because I had a question about everything Nick said. There's so many things to think after what you said, but my main concern, as Sam said, is about that $30 million that we've already, for the CRC and for the care center. So my question to you is, and like you said, it could change by the end of the day, but is there any way, I mean, you can't, the federal government cannot claw back spent money. So I know if we were doing a project in our home, we wouldn't want to give the contractor all the funds right away. We'd want to hold it back until the project was completed. But are there ways to move that
Yes,
money
there are.
somewhere else, or to pay the
We would-
contractor up front,
We would
or to
pay- we
use
would
that money?
prepay. We would prepay.
Okay.
We have bid contracts on the books. We would have to enter into an amended agreement, and we'd figure out what protections we'd have, but we would prepay for those contracts to spend the money. if we
Okay,
had
and
to.
then there's no way to claw it back.
There's no way to claw it.
Great, thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you, Chair.
Everybody, okay, Member Covert,
I'm
very
going to be
quickly.
really quick. I just want to clarify, does this affect our member initiative, ARPA money, and our small agency?
That's, no, that's ARPA
Okay,
interest.
so do we go forward with that
Yeah,
then?
that is ARPA interest.
Okay.
ARPA interest is yours. The ARPA proper money is already allocated and we had to allocate it by the end of 2024. It is, and the only really, there's some other small things, but really the two big ones are CRC and the care center rehab. Those are the two big ones. And so it's all allocated, it's sitting in our accounts, and ARPA interest is, those are sitting there generating some interest, and that's what's funding your ARPA interest, but that is ours.
Okay, Member Ozog.
Just a quick question back to, what was facilities management that you were talking about?
Facilities management.
What's the
and-
project specifically?
So,
Or projects?
specifically what we know, and like I said, we are still getting the information, but
Yeah.
what we know is gonna be impacted would be the charging stations that we were gonna put here on campus. And I think the solar, the additional solar we're gonna put in 421, if you remember, was grant funded. And the other thing we've gotta figure out is, we have a lot of grants here that the money flows from federal to state to county. That money is maybe at the state level, is that frozen? That's what we don't know. There's so many things we don't know because the state IEPA loans, the state revolving loan in Public Works.
Right.
That's through the state, but there might be a touch of federal too. And there's so many different moving pieces we gotta figure out.
One last specific question. The grant for the East Branch Trail, that is in our possession. it came from the state, from IDOT. Is that in our pocket?
Turn to the expert here.
Sorry. Could have asked you this yesterday, Steve, but who knows what's going on.
Unfortunately, it's the same answer I think Nick just suggested. As a SUP recipient, IDOT is the holder of the $1 million, really, and we would get reimbursed for money spent. So what is the state doing right now? And how does this affect them? And I don't think we know. I think generally they're optimistic this will get worked out at a highway, just talking highways, at a highway level. But we don't know.
But the money is in the state's hands.
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem.
Got it.
When you have so, I mean, where is the money flowing?
Right.
Are the feds gonna claw it back? Have they already dispersed it yet?
Okay.
A lot of these the grants we have are called reimbursement grants, where we spend the money, it gets reimbursed, and it goes up the food chain.
Right.
To, us, to state, to feds, and that's the problem. We just don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Member Eckhoff.
There's a lot of things that we do here at the county, and some of them are statutory and some of them are discretionary. And we just passed the NARPA, phase 2 that I think was discretionary that I had brought up before, saying maybe we need to think to hold it off. It might be helpful to get from the state's attorney a listing of the things that we have to do. I mean, in addition to funding all our 10 countywide elected officials, we have to have a jail. I think we have to have an animal shelter. So there's certain things we have to do, and it'd be nice for, I think, everybody to know to make sure we fund those things first, and the other things, if you're really concerned about not having enough money, then maybe you want to hold off on the ARPA money. I voted for it because I think we're going to be okay. But those discretionary things, wait till June, wait till July, when you ever think the clouds are going to clear.
And here's the deal. I know I sound doom and gloom, and I know it's just because there's so much unknown. Many of our programs, I think at the end of the day, will end up getting funded. We just, right now, everything's on hold. We don't know. I mean, will what WorkNet does get funded? I mean, it's a pretty popular countrywide initiative. So, I mean, who knows? We've just got to see. And time will tell, and we need to bridge the gap. And so maybe we start with Marion and Lisa's online.
Thanks. My department, as you know, is the vast majority of what we do is because we get grants from the state and federal government. And I will say that almost every dollar we get from the state originates with the federal government. So if we're looking at the originating source, we're probably at 70 to 80% of what we do is funded by the federal government. My immediate concern that Nick brought up, and just to clarify the difference, so the ARPA money was something that was totally different than I've certainly ever seen before, which was that we got the money in advance. Everything else that we do is a reimbursement rate, so reimbursement basis. So we have to incur the expense, then we go into our line of credit with the federal government, we draw those funds down. You can draw funds down maybe a day in advance, but there's a very, very brief window. So we can't draw down, so even though we're still working on 2023 and 2024 grants from HUD because projects take a long time, those funds are cut off right now. So even though we're working on grants and we're working on projects that were funded by Congress 2-3 years ago, we don't currently have access to that money. That line of credit system, from what I'm being told, has been shut down. So immediate concern is payroll. We have a payroll of around 322,000. It varies biweekly depending on what people charge their time to, but let's say $300,000 to $350,000 every 2 weeks. That's coming from that we then draw down from state and federal sources. So as of the payroll that will get paid next week, I think. The county will need to cover that cost until we can get reimbursed. Obviously, I certainly hope, everybody hopes that sort of the dust will settle and we'll have a much better understanding of where things stand in the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks. But we have a significant number of our staff who are funded by ultimately federal sources. So that's on our staffing side. But then, we also serve as a granting agency. So we receive funds from the federal government. We run some programs, but we also disperse those funds down to nonprofits, down to municipalities, down to housing developers. And so those organizations like Catholic Charities and PADS and Village of Bensonville, and there's a large affordable senior housing development going up in Addison right now. All of those projects that are underway, they're going to be submitting requests for payment to us, and then we'll have to hold it, because unless the county were to make a decision to front those expenses as well, which is a much more significant portion than our payroll portion. Just as an example, in December, we dispersed $1.2 million down to municipalities and nonprofits for various, and that's just community development block grant, just the community development stuff. And so obviously that concern is significant, both from us as an organization that runs programs and as an organization that provides funding down into the community. I've been getting emails from, various coalitions of nonprofit organizations, community action agencies. I haven't seen anything from NACO yet. I'm assuming that they'll have a statement pretty soon. That's, we'll keep the board as informed as we possibly can. Unfortunately, we all know basically what we're hearing in the press and what different organizations are hearing. So that's kind of where we are in the Department of Community Services. If you have any specific questions for the department, let me know.
Why don't we go ahead and, Lisa, are you on? Can you give us a WorkNet summary?
Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I am. I was waiting to be unmuted. Good morning, everybody. So operate similarly to how Mary just explained. Although we are basically 100% federally funded, we currently have one small segment of state funds that amounts to a little over $100,000. But the bulk, 99% of our budget, as always, is federally funded through the Department of Labor. As Nick mentioned and indicated, it's been very fluid already all morning here. I am waiting for word from the Deputy Director of DCO's Employment and Training Administration. He is awaiting guidance from the Department of Labor as well as the Governor's Office. I assume that that's the meeting that Jeremy's in possibly currently. We have 25 staff here. Our bi-weekly payroll is between $90,000 and $100,000. On top of that, as you all know, we serve members of the community every day. Our sort of centerpiece is always those training grants to put people into career training programs. To give you some idea, this week, appointments that are scheduled for individuals to receive their vouchers to begin their education programs. We have $27,000 worth of new vouchers that were supposed to be written this week. I'm anticipating probably needing to cancel those appointments, although again, I'm awaiting guidance. We also have about $40,000 that are files that are in review, kind of right pending that voucher appointment being scheduled so that they too can begin. We've been receiving calls all morning from concerned individuals, whether or not this is going to hold up either their beginning of services or their ongoing if they're at a College of DuPage type program that requires more than one voucher. So obviously there would be a lot of disruption if this is an extended pause. We too operate where DCEO is our pass-through entity at the state level. So we don't know, obviously nobody knows yet if there's clawbacks that are intended to kind of take that money back or if we'll be able to use what's already been allocated. That's all to be determined. I read about 20 minutes ago through Associated Press that federal assistance to individuals would not be affected, including Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, and then they mentioned student loans and scholarships. Who knows the accuracy of that, but maybe student loans and scholarships would include, the primary services that we provide. For the time being, again, just awaiting guidance from DCO on how to proceed.
And before we get into questions, maybe the final one, Superintendent Quirk, if you want to come up for ROE, that would be the other third one I think might be impacted, so.
Good morning. Yes, we're about 20% funded through federal funds and 56% through our state grants that we receive, and some of those would be pass-through funds. To give you an example of one of the federal funds that we receive, Will County ROE is the fiscal agent, and that is for McKinney-Vento services. So we have a McKinney-Vento liaison. So if families qualify as being homeless and they need those services, we have a portion of that grant that's allotted to our area, and then we distribute that to the schools based on mini grants. So that is a federally funded program. Some of the others that we have are our leadership grants, which we're obviously very proud of, but again, that could be impacted. I heard a week or so ago, because those are called EIR grants, that it's a possibility that maybe they wouldn't, but who knows with what's going on. So we also have a social emotional learning grant that's federally funded, and we have the National School Lunch Program that we run through our Regional Safe School location in Addison. The Regional Safe School itself is a state-funded program. It is required for our office to have it, so definitely something we have to have. Our finance team is going to work to figure out what this looks like as a whole picture for our staff, but you know, just off the top of my head, I think we have over 10 employees that are fully funded by federal dollars, and then that might be a little high, but then we have some that are partially funded across the board. And similar to what Community Service does and WorkNet, we function on a reimbursement model.
So once again, things are moving very quickly. A little bit of an update from the governor's Zoom press conference, whatever. That is important. They do worry about pass-through funds greatly being impacted here. So I think you have to assume pass-through funds are going to be impacted as well. So I think an important component, so you've heard 3 departments that the staffing is not only the programs in there, but the staffing between WorkNet, Community Services, and ROE. It looks like you are probably payroll for the 3 of them combined. I think you're probably between $400,000 and $500,000 would be where I would peg that at. Several of those, if not all of them, have reserves. My recommendation would be to, if that's okay with the board and the chair, is that finance works with those 3 departments, and at this point, because we don't know what's happening, we do whatever it takes to keep those employees on board, and we'll use their reserves that they have. We'll use our contingency fund, and basically the chair would have the authority then to do an emergency procurement for that, and then we will do that. I mean, it can't go on indefinitely, but at least we can buy ourselves maybe 2 weeks, a month, whatever, until we see the lay of the land. Programmatic is a little bit more, has a little bit more concern. You heard from WorkNet, there's $27,000 or around there in scholarships for current clients. For community services, it's huge. What do we want to do on that one? My recommendation on that would be, from a program standpoint, we try to wind that down or put a pause on it as much as we can, where it makes sense. And everybody has some reserves out there, but we wind it down. For instance, WorkNet, they're still employed. They can still be meeting with people to be ready for the next round, do everything they can, but let's try to stop it as much as we can until we know. But in some instances, maybe we do move forward, and there needs to be some flexibility with the chair for that. I threw a lot on you guys, whatever questions you may have or direction.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say, There is no board and no staff in the country I would rather go through this with than all of you. I know your commitment, and I know that we will get through this, and we will be prepared for whatever comes our way. So everyone needs to take a deep breath and know that we have the resources and we have the skill, people that understand. We put our communities first, and we are going to get through this. So, Member Garcia, did you have a question?
I did have a quick question regarding community service programs that you're suggesting we put a hold on. I just wanted to know what those were. If you could just point out exactly what we're talking about, what programs that we would put. I mean, is it LIHEAP? Is it? I mean, what?
Well, yeah, those would be the types of things that we would have to make a determination. So yeah, LIHEAP, weatherization. We do have rent assistance money that's similar to ARPA.
Okay.
For whatever reason, we got those funds in advance.
Okay.
So that rent assistance program could continue. Okay. But that's just one component of rent assistance. All the other rent assistance that we do could be put on hold. Anything that we do, I guess the funding that we provide to nonprofit organizations, so Catholic Charities, case managers, or People's Resource Center, or Prairie State Legal, we provide them the grant funds for their staff. So I don't think that that's necessarily something that the county has the ability to, or the capacity to put those funds through. So that would have to be, those payments would be on hold.
Okay.
The biggest one that I see looming out there is that affordable housing development in Addison. We have about $3.5 million committed to that project. We committed $5 million, we've spent about $1.5 million, but there's still $3.5 million that developer will be, they'll be incurring that expense. So hopefully they won't have to, they have other funds, they have tax credit funds, but hopefully they wouldn't have to pause that construction, that kind of thing. So.
Thank you. I just want to make it clear to people that this is not only affecting us as a board, but mostly the staff and people who are being helped by the funding that we're getting. This to me is so frustrating that this was done with not a clear sight in mind that how many people were going to be affected by this decision. And I realize it might be temporary. I realize we don't know what everything's going on, but for us to have to spend the time and the frustration and the worry over this is just so horrible. And I just want to make sure that everybody, I'm sure most of my board members agree with me, that this is unneeded and unnecessary, and it's very frustrating. Thank you.
I will say I do appreciate what appears to be the consensus that we're going to support the staff through this. There's already been a number of questions from staff saying, who know that they are federally funded, saying, what does this mean for me? So, a consensus from the board that we will support that payroll would go a long way. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, it feels like it's just happening to us. This is an entire country that's in this situation right now. It doesn't matter who you voted for or who you might vote for in the future. These are people's lives. Member Evans.
Thank you, Chair. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that we need to keep payroll going. We need to make sure that everyone still has their jobs to keep the disruption at a minimum. But Nick, you said you gave out a number of 400 to 500,000. What is that? Is that an annual, monthly? Sounds like could not be
so
annual.
500,000 is between ROE, Community Services, and WorkNet. Total salary among the three, dependent on federal funds, say $400,000 to $500,000 every 2 weeks.
Oh, every 2 weeks. Okay.
So you figure your burn rate just for payroll, you're looking at $1 million a month.
Okay.
So that's kind of where you're at. The trickier part is really programmatic. We need every department. I mean, Mary is the only one to. I recommend that the departments work with their chairs and figure out what programs can be paused, can be stopped, can be halted as much as possible, because there's no way we can afford a $3.5 million construction payout. I mean, we've got to conserve our money to get through this. So my recommendation is focus on the staff, because you'll never be able to return that expertise on there. And then some of the programs, I mean, rent assistance, luckily she has money for that. Rent assistance is one of those, if we don't pay rent assistance, people get evicted. So stuff like that, we've got to figure out what makes sense for funding.
Thank you. Member Eckhoff.
Just a clarification, according to finance, that payroll number is close to 1.3 because our numbers didn't include benefits. So it's 1.3 a month.
Oh, you've got the benefits, that's right.
My report is just salary.
So total monthly would be 1.3. So you have, 30-40% overhead, so it's 1.3. But here's the one thing I will say. We will work with them. Most of the agencies that we talked about, or departments, have reserves. They're going to have to rely on those reserves as part of this as well.
Member Eckhoff.
As I said before, I think we need to focus on what's mandatory and discretionary spending. What powers does the chair have on an emergency basis to go forward and fund for the next 2 weeks? Do we know?
It would be an emergency procurement. We would go through the state's attorney for funding that. We have.
That's what I'm asking. Does she have the authority to just do it on her own? Because if she
Yes.
doesn't, for the next 2 weeks,
Well,
for a
for
month.
the next payroll, and then we would come and ratify whatever we did. at the
So we don't need an
following board.
emergency special meeting next Tuesday.
No, just ratification after the fact, and we will notify this board all along. If we get to that point, we're still a ways away. At least we've got payroll, another week or so, but we will notify the board of every action we take, but we'll have to ratify it on the back
So
end if it's an emergency.
We cover payroll, and then if this looks like it's gonna be a long-term continuing thing, then you gotta figure out
We gotta
what
make
discretionary things you start cutting. But there's certain things we have to continue to fund, which are in the statute.
Okay, Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. Some of the comments I was going to make have already been said, but with regards to programming, obviously, there's basic human needs that we do look out for. So those are the types of programs that we absolutely can't cut. Things like providing housing, providing food, and those sort of things. So it sounds like Mary Keating's department's going to put together a list of those priorities with the programs, and I would hope this board would support those programs. Thank you.
So a little bit of an update from the governor's Zoom call. The state is saying that everybody's being locked out of the programs, like the Medicaid reimbursement, the Medicare reimbursement. Everybody's being locked out of it by the feds right now. So it is chaos right now. So we just need to figure out what is, the state's trying to figure it out, lawsuits are being filed. So we'll know more in an hour. We'll know more in an hour. After that, something different. Who knows?
Thank you. Yes.
I'm afraid to ask this.
Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for all that explanation, Nick. My question is this: based on this nerve-wracking conversation, it kind of puts things to light with our finance conversation about surplus. I'm just throwing this out there. Do we want to hold, we had consensus on all of those things. Do we want to just hold on to that for a minute till we see how this shakes out? That's it.
Keep in mind, you did hold it in those until June 1st. Yeah. So, hopefully we will know within the next week or two where this is going. And we can always make a decision in 2 weeks to do something different.
Okay, anybody else?
Just a quick question about the Medicaid. Nobody can get into that. How does that affect our care center?
That's part of the reimbursement.
Yeah.
Janelle is online, but that is part of the reimbursement. It will absolutely have an
managed.
impact. Janelle, are you online?
Yeah, it's going to have a big effect.
Is she on? All right, Janelle.
Hi, yes, I am. Yeah, so we get paid, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we get paid, our Medicaid is a shared program between the federal and the state. So the federal portion of our reimbursement is approximately $70 per Medicaid recipient per day. That would be paused at this point if it does affect Medicaid. There's still our not-for-profit National Association, I'm sure, is feverishly preparing some communication for us. And as soon as I get more definitive responses, I would certainly share that.
Thank you, Janelle.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Nick. All right, well, while I firmly believe in a separation of church and state, whoever it is you may believe in, wherever your belief is, I highly recommend that outside of this room, you spend some time in prayer. I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? This meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 10 a.m.